Hello, welcome to my channel. This is going to be my season wrap-up for summer. So I'm just going to go through all the books that I've read this summer quickly, so this video isn't too long. But at the same time, to be honest, I didn't read that many books in summer, mainly because in September I had a whole slump month and I only read one book. Yeah, I was sad. But overall, I read 17 books this summer, and I'm counting it from literally the start of summer until the end of summer. So I'm being very accurate with this. So starting from the beginning, I read Night of Cake and Puppets by Laini Taylor, and this is a companion novel for the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, which I read this year. And this is about how the relationship of two side characters started. I think that these were my favorite side characters in many of the books that I've read. And they had the loveliest romance ever, so I was very happy to read this book. It's very simple, it's very short, and it's basically just cuteness overload. It was really enjoyable to read. I read it in one sitting. Next up, I read Red, White and Royal Blue by McQuiston, and I didn't love this one. I liked it, but mainly because I was personally in love with the character of the English prince. But that's because it's my weakness, and what can I say? I just love a really shy but elegant and intelligent man. So, but overall I didn't love it. I gave it 3 stars. I found the American prince a bit annoying. Next up, we begin in July, and this was my birthday month, so I literally, instead of setting myself a TBR that I normally try to balance with different genres, or I choose books from categories that I want to read, I just gave myself free rein, and I literally chose a whole playlist. And I just went through all my Kindle and I just chose all the prettiest and most princess-like books, and basically my TBR was mostly pink and romance, and I was really happy. So these are all the books that are gonna come now, and you're probably gonna guess the theme of them. But first up, I read The Rosie Project, and I didn't really know too much about this book, and I just read it because my friend had it and she was leaving, so I said, okay, I'll read it before you leave, if I can borrow it. And I absolutely loved it. It was so good. 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. It was about this man that I think pretty much you can say that he's autistic, but it's never mentioned in the book, which I also really liked because it wasn't about him. Oh, he wasn't aware of it. He wasn't about him, I'm autistic. It's just him about living the world through his extremely rational mind and with his own different difficulties or strengths, and the way he approached everything in life, the way he missed social cues, the way I could also just side with him many times because he literally was doing the most rational thing and it made no sense. And I absolutely loved it. It was hilarious. I laughed out loud. It was also really cute, and it was really fun to read everything from his voice. And I feel that I also got for a few days his way of thinking in my head, but just this rational way of the rational way of doing this would be to, I don't know, it was fun. 5 stars, highly recommend. Next up, I read The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang. This one is about a girl that is autistic and she knows it, and she basically, since she's very bad at relationships and sex, she has never done it because she has never had any relationship. She hires a professional male escort to teach her how to be romantic, so she can finally find a man, marry, and kind of quiet her mother and everyone in her family. Also because she wants to do it for herself. But it's really cool because she has a really good job that she really enjoys. And yeah, I found this book extremely, I would say even sexy at the beginning. It was so nice because everything was new and then she was happening, but then I found it a bit repetitive because I found that every time they were just having sex all the freaking time, and I was a bit bored. I just wanted to know more about her experience, about how she was handling having a new boyfriend as an autistic person, or more about, I don't know. It was basically one very good scene about her meeting the family that was painful to watch, but really good. But otherwise she would be sad and they would have a problem, and then he would comfort her, and they were having sex, and that was it. And it was sexy at first, the first times you read it, but afterwards it was just like, okay, yeah, every time this insatiable, I don't know, I didn't really enjoy it that much. Still gave it 4 stars because I really enjoyed the premise and the beginning, and it was still a fun read. Next up, I read one that is basically a major guilty pleasure, and it was Mr.Darcy's Diary. Basically, this is fan fiction in a book. It's Pride and Prejudice from the eyes of Mr. Darcy. Was it great? No. Did I love it? Yes. I don't know. I didn't fully love it because I do think that sometimes I didn't imagine him how he was portrayed in this book, but still it was highly enjoyable to just imagine, especially because in Pride and Prejudice you kind of barely get any romance, and especially from his eyes. Only at the end when he proclaims all his love, and you know that he was pining all the time for her, but that's basically at the end you know that he liked her. Especially with Jane Austen books, that you don't really get the male perspective too much. You only suddenly, oh well, of course I loved you all this time. And yeah, so it was really cool to see. I really enjoyed it. It was very, I still give it 3 stars though, because it wasn't great, but enjoyable. Next up, I read Geekerella, and I gave this one 5 stars actually. I really enjoyed it. I love a good Disney retelling. Fairy tale retelling. I really enjoy it, and I really like how the retelling was done with the characters, how they were chosen, the pumpkin as well. Everything was really fun. I also really liked the plot twist of who was the fairy godmother. Yeah, and overall it was quite cute. I really liked the character of the girl, and I do think that it was quite magical. And I as well loved the representation of geek people in the convention and everything, and the final scene, not final scene, but basically a moment where all the geeks get together and united by the force of geekness. I thought that was absolutely amazing. I loved that. So yeah, gave it 5 stars, really enjoyed it. Next up, lo and behold, I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, yay, by Sarah J. Maas. I thought I should get started because I'm somewhat new to YouTube, so I didn't even really know about them, and now I can't get enough of it. I absolutely loved this book. I thought it was great. It was a bit predictable for me, especially because I also got spoiled by Instagram. Thank God that I kind of had predicted it already, but in one of the relationships I just saw fan art all the time, and I just on Instagram, and then I read, you know, the names, and I was like, no! That wasn't even a possibility when I was reading the book, and then it happened. So well, thank you Bookstagram. The fan art was beautiful, but yeah, I was just basically like, no! Scrolling or just throwing my phone. But yeah, thank God I kind of predicted it already. But yeah, basically I really enjoyed it, and I'm kind of sad that I got so late into this boat, because I feel everyone has already heard so many things about this that they just kind of started hating it, kind of like Twilight. So yeah, but I'm sure that many of you guys love it, and I still have to read book 2 and book 3, except that I saw on Goodreads that a 4th book is coming. So is that happening? I'm not sure. I'm new to this, so I don't know. Please let me know. But that would be very exciting, especially because then I would be able to read that one with everyone at the same time, so that's cool. Otherwise, if you're interested in a read along or reading this trilogy with me, please let me know, because I would love to do that. But yeah, gave it 5 stars, amazing. Then I read, I think, one of my favorite books of the year so far, and I've seen it. I read it because I saw it recommended on many booktubers channels, and I was like, yeah, I have to read it, Oh my god, The Hating Game, amazing. I fell so in love. I fell in love with the characters so much. I absolutely loved the games they played at the beginning as well. I thought they were so clever and cute, and I also basically a romance book that follows a hate to love trope. And normally, I mean, even if you know that it's a hate to love, so it's quite predictable, still I found the hate part to be really realistic and very strong, and kind of it seemed unsurmountable. It seemed impossible that anything could ever happen. I didn't know how, and yeah, it was done beautifully, and I absolutely fell in love with the character. And I basically finished the book, and 2 days later I wanted to reread it again, and I have been fighting the urge to reread it all this time. I just want to save it. Yeah, and a movie's coming out, which I'm excited about, but also scared. I don't want them to ruin it, but at the same time I'm very excited because I think it's gonna be cool. I don't know, I absolutely love this book, highly recommend. It's a very good romance. Then I read Dear John by Nicholas Sparks, which I absolutely love the movie of. It's one of my favorite romance movies, and I read the book and I don't think I can like the movie anymore. I actually read the book and then watched the movie because that's what I wanted to do, and in the movie I was like, I don't like it anymore. It ruined the, I don't know, I didn't like it. I found it extremely boring. I don't know, maybe I even preferred it in the movie, or I don't know if it's because I had watched it first. Also, other things I did prefer in the book, but they didn't improve that much. I did like the ending in the book much more, and now that I know the ending of the book, I don't like what they did with the movie. But yeah, I mainly found it boring, so I gave it 3 stars. Then after that, I went traveling for the summer and I became extremely ill in my travels. So yeah, I spent my holidays in bed, but I still had to catch planes and go on a car rides. It was horrible, absolutely horrible. I had to go to emergency room. Anyway, basically I didn't read anything for those 2 weeks, and then I came home finally and I got food poisoning. I don't know how. Basically I just spent 3 weeks absolutely ill, and I was so ill that I couldn't even read. But that was in August, and I followed Nudes, right, the Harry Potter reading challenge that Book Rose hosts, and I think it's the best readathon in the entire universe. I love everything that she has done for it. She has put so much work into it and everything. It's so perfect. And basically I was just so eager for the Nudes, but with the illness and the traveling, I just couldn't get anything done. But I was determined to not lose my progress. So I first wanted to become a metal charmer, which I had to give up on, and then just settle for Hogwarts professor. Anyway, which still meant reading 8 books. Thankfully one of them was a manga, so that was okay. But then I still had to read 7 more books, and then these ones that come, and then these ones I read really fast, just when I was still ill, but I could finally think a little bit, and I just spent the whole day in bed just reading. And the first one that I finished was The Humans by Matt Haig. I had started this one as a buddy read with my friend, and we were reading it very slowly, so I kind of got bored with it, and I thought, it's a bit annoying. I did like the premise, but damn, I finished it because I knew that it was short and it fit one of the premises, and it was so good. So good. 5 stars, hands down. It was one very good. I absolutely love the representation of the human world from this. I have to say, it's basically about an alien that goes into the body of a mathematician that had just discovered a new scientific revolutionary thing that would basically kickstart whole human progress, and they didn't want humans to then overtake the universe because they didn't find them mature enough to handle this new scientific advancement. So he goes into his body, and then he experiences the whole life through alien eyes, but at the same time extremely rational and advanced aliens. So that was really cool. But it's really interesting how he adapts and the things that he ends up experiencing. It's really, I found it extremely incredible. The ending, which I couldn't stop reading, I found it extremely inspirational and philosophical. Very good. Then I read one that I just needed to read, a non-fiction for one prompt, and I chose the shortest non-fiction that I had on my thing. That was Anything You Want by Derek Sivers. It's really, really short. I don't really actually remember too much about it. I read it in 1 hour, and yeah, I think it's basically him telling about his company and how he launched it, and yeah. Business book, 3 stars. It was okay. I actually liked that it was short, because I don't like when non-fiction books just ramble on forever saying only a couple of ideas. So I actually loved that he synthesized it. I think it could be interesting, but yeah, whatever. I just needed to get the prompt down. Then I read The Bells, which I bought for the cover because it was the most absolutely gorgeous cover, and my name is Rose, and it had roses on the cover, and it was pink and it was beautiful, and everything that I had heard about it was that it was very descriptive, and that it was, even the critique, it was too flowery, and I was like, oh, that's perfect for me. You know, when you hear a review and it's a negative review, but the things that they complain about are things that you absolutely love. So basically that was what I thought about this book. I don't know, I found it extremely boring at the beginning, and nothing absolutely happened. I literally had read 100 words and nothing had happened. And I don't mind a setup. I think the setup is important, but no, this one just was completely empty. And then when things started happening, I did actually end up enjoying it more, so I gave it 3 stars, but at the beginning I literally thought that I was gonna give it much less. So yeah, and it did make me kind of want to read the continuation, because I wanted to know what would happen, but at the same time I was like, I don't know if I can go through the pain again, and I haven't picked the second up, so I don't know what that says. But yeah, 3 stars. I did really like the beauty aspect of it, but I don't think I liked it too much, sorry. Then I wanted to read a quick fantasy, YA, easy to read, the kind of things that hook you, and I read The Cruel Prince, which I had heard so many mixed reviews about it, and many of them were just negative reviews. But there are some small, at least what I thought was a small community of people that went crazy for it. So basically I thought, okay, a book that is not very good in quality, but maybe that can hook you and stuff. Well, I loved it. I was so hooked. I didn't like the beginning at all. I thought it was, no. Lo and behold, I think that I was right in my prediction because it wasn't the most groundbreaking book at all, but damn was I hooked. I read it in 2 days, I think. I just couldn't stop reading, and I do think that some parts were a bit boring, but I actually liked the beginning with... It's basically about a girl that is non-fairy and her parents are murdered by one fairy that then takes her in and adopts her. Basically, she is a human in a fairy world. I struggled at the beginning with it because it's a bit slow, and I knew that I was going to love it because it was going to be emotional, but that doesn't mean that it's the most riveting book to read. So I was struggling a little bit, but it's very short and I pushed myself, and it kind of at the same time it hooks you. Even if it's slow per se, it's actually really interesting to read. It was extremely beautiful. I absolutely loved it. It completely won me over. All of the reviews that said that it was amazing. Yeah, I completely agree. It's about an old man, old grumpy man. You basically follow his life when he's old, and then there are some flashbacks that tell you about how he was when he was young. Definitely worth a read. Basically, it covers themes about love and family and morality even, and being a good person. It's really, really interesting. I really liked it. Very inspiring character. I gave A Man Called Ove 5 stars. Then I read one that I needed to be very short and that filled the prompt as well. And I read Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and I hated it. I couldn't deal with it. I know that some people love it, especially some booktubers that I absolutely love and love all their taste, but this one, I just couldn't get on with it. I know that it's meant to be messy and to not make sense, but to me I just found it extremely annoying. I don't know if maybe it's because I'm not tasteful enough to be able to understand the literary effects. Yes, some quotes here and there, when you quote them and you put them in real life, can be extremely interesting and profound. But the book overall, I found Alice to be rude and annoying, and to everything to be too messy and overall not enjoyable. And everyone was also very rude. I don't know. It was actually extremely painful to read, and I gave this one 2 stars. Yeah, heavily disliked it. Then, final book of August, I read The Picture of Dorian Gray because I needed to have a black cover, and I liked it. I really liked it. I haven't had an American education, so it was never on my classics to read, but I always wanted to read the classics as well. And it was surprisingly bright and positive at the beginning because I was expecting it to be dark, so I thought that it wouldn't be too bad, and then it became even darker than I could have imagined. So it wasn't really interesting, and the second half of it was actually a bit hard to read, but not because it wasn't good, just because I don't know, it was a bit painful to see that character development, and it's really extremely interesting. I give it 4 stars. And then ends August and we come to September, right? Do I have 10 more books to read? No, because in September I was in a massive reading slump. Even if I managed to read 7 books in 1 week in August, maybe that's also why I finished the news and I was like, I'm done. And then we also traveled a little bit, and no, not really. Basically, I just wasn't reading at all. So I'm very upset about that, but I did read The Wicked King, which is the continuation of The Cruel Prince, because I was quite eager to read that one. Funny enough, I actually enjoyed more A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, but I picked up the second book of The Cruel Prince before I picked up the second book of, so I don't know if I was just saving it, I'm not sure. Anyway, also The Queen of Nothing, the 3rd book of the trilogy, is coming up this October, November, I'm not sure, soon. So I really wanted to be ready to read that one when it comes out, because I can then read it with everyone and not get spoiled, and basically mostly hype with everyone. That's what I enjoy the most, just hyping together about things. Yeah, so I read the second book, and lo and behold, I absolutely loved the ending of the first book, and then it was so boring. I found the first 40%, literally, I was reading on the Kindle so I could see 40% of the book, nothing happens, and then something starts to happen, and that becomes much more interesting, and from there on the book becomes really, really good. I really enjoyed it. And then again, plot twists at the end, so yeah, I don't know, really, really cool, really interesting. So I enjoyed it. However, I didn't find it as good as the first one. Anyway, I gave it 3 stars. I'm still not sure, maybe it should be, but I don't think it's a 4 star, so I don't know, 3 stars. There you have it. Those are all the books I read this summer. I didn't give very extensive synopsis and everything because I just wanted to give you my opinion on the books really fast because it's many books. I actually read many good books this summer. In other seasons I didn't have many good ratings, especially I think it's because of the July month that I gave to myself, my birthday month, and actually allowed myself to choose the books that I wanted to read the most. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.